Hey, it's nearly 11:45 Eastern. Why not pull up a chair and wrap that sandwich or that cup of coffee and tune into A Radio, and this is the Morning Moment. Follow us on Spreaker.com.
You're listening to A Radio.
Thank you for joining us. You're listening to A Radio, and this is the Morning Moment. Follow us on Spreaker.com and click on the like button. You can find us on most social media platforms such as iTunes, Spotify and iHeartRadio. Go to our website aradio.wordpress.com for details, where you'll find more content and details on our podcasts and more. Okay, this piece here is basically a comment on Trudeau's illegal and unconstitutional activities. Having recently watched a webinar from a candidate for the Conservative leadership in Canada, Derek Sloan, I'm reminded of the ongoing illegality of our Prime Minister's activities, aided and abetted, I might say, by the Liberal Party of Canada and, unfortunately, other parties as well, I might add. I want to make something perfectly clear to Canadians who feel that our Prime Minister has acted illegally, as I do. I agree. Not only has Justin Trudeau acted illegally, in my opinion, so have members of Parliament who have supported him, who have passed laws they don't have the authority to do. And that also applies to the Supreme Court of Canada, who quite frankly have been operating beyond the laws of Canada. My point is a simple one that cannot be argued against. However hard politicians, judges and lawyers try, the highest law in the land of Canada is the Canadian Charter and Rights and Freedoms. It clearly says what we have a right to do. There are no ifs or buts. There is no ambiguity here. I'm going to read it to you. Fundamental Freedoms, it's entitled. Section 2 of the Charter, it's entitled. Everyone has the following fundamental freedoms: the freedom of conscience and religion, freedom of thought, belief, opinion, expression, including freedom of the press and other media of communication, freedom of peaceful assembly, and freedom of association. Now, how much clearer can that be? How much clearer can that be? There's no room for wiggling there. So in other words, any government, I don't know if it's Trudeau, Andrew Scheer, the NDP leader, Jagmeet Singh, I don't care. They don't have the right to pass any laws. And any laws that have already been passed are unconstitutional. This is perfectly clear. Now, the second part in my case is any politician who thinks they can write laws to bypass our Charter of Rights and Freedoms is wrong. No, you can't. And here's why. The Constitution of Canada contains the Canada Act of 1982, which has two parts: the Constitution Act of 1982 and the British North America Act of 1867, renamed the Constitution Act. It's the Constitution Act of 1982 that contains the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Charter because the Charter is part of the Constitution and no part of it can be changed by a federal or provincial government. The House of Commons, the Senate, and 2/3 of the provinces representing over 50% of Canadians must approve any changes to the Charter or any part of the Constitution. That's it. There you have it. Let's give it to you again, in case you're an idiot moron MP or a lawyer, there's not much difference, who can't understand English. The Constitution Act 1982 contains the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Charter. Because the Charter is part of the Constitution, no part of it can be changed by a federal or provincial government. The House of Commons, the Senate, and 2/3 of the provinces representing over 50% of Canadians must approve any changes to the Charter or any part of the Constitution. So any law passed by Parliament or provincial Parliament that usurps a Canadian citizen charter rights is illegal unless a new law is approved by the House of Commons, the Senate, and 2/3 of the provinces representing over 50% of Canadians must approve any changes to the Charter or any part of the Constitution. I've said it a number of times because I really don't know how much simpler you could make that. Anything else, anything, is not only illegal, but it's unconstitutional. And Parliament as a whole and the Supreme Court of Canada knows this, and so does Justin Trudeau and his merry men. Why is it that we allow a government, a party, a regime to bypass our Constitution? Why is it that they think they can pass so-called hate laws? Because one person's hate is another person's opinion. Hate is a very, very nebulous thing to define, and that's the trouble. And because you can't actually define it, it shouldn't be passed as a law. It's very, very simple. You cannot bypass, overwrite, rewrite the Constitution of Canada without those criteria being met. And they know this. Every MP should know it. And if they don't, they shouldn't be an MP. And this is my other issue. There are too many lawyers in Parliament. We don't need lawyers in Parliament. We need real people with real experience. Anybody passing laws that force people to do things they don't want to do and usurp our charter are illegal. And they know it. And that's my comment. That's the comment that needs to be taken to heart. Any Canadian who can't see this is giving away their democratic right to freedom.
You can find more at aradio.wordpress.com, where you can find links to us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Gab, Spotify, and email. We're on Spotify under the podcast section. Type in Canadian Politics with a twist and you'll find us. We are continuing to reach out to you, so please pass these links on to your friends. Please click on the follow button on Spreaker.com. You can listen to all our morning moments at Spreaker.com/A-Radio. EHRADIO, A-Radio. And please click on the like button. Join us Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 11:45 Eastern, and tell your friends and pass the word. We only tell the truth, not what the mainstream media want you to know.